Hi, welcome to Your Journey. I'm your host, Kevin James Jackson, and as always, I am so grateful that you tuned in to my show and that you're sacrificing some of your time to listen to me. I do appreciate this. This show, as always, is about self-love, self-care, and help you on your journey to your self-actualization, so you can be your authentic self, and so you can be you, and you can use your talents and find out who you are and to be happy, because I think we all are meant to be happy. So I just want to use this show to give out information that I have, that I've learned, that I've acquired, and hopefully this information will give you hope, will inspire you, will give you some guidance, and to help you along on your journey. Because again, what comes from the heart reaches the heart, and whatever I do and whatever I give is definitely from my heart. I want to continue on a theme that I did from my last show. And in my last show, I talked about how things are passed down from one generation to another, and how marginalization had me so far from the mainstream that there were some things I did not know. A lot of things in my life I did not know. Like I was the first generation to go to my college. So I'm going to continue on that thing, and this time I'm going to focus on climate and culture. And the reason I think climate and culture is so important, I'm going to get into in a few minutes. So what I want to talk to you about, before I get into this show, I do want to give this disclaimer, that this show is going to be a lot of cussing, a lot of swearing. This show is going to talk about domestic violence, verbal abuse, physical abuse, and emotional abuse. So again, if I re-traumatize somebody by telling my story, I apologize ahead of time. Or if I offend people, if I make people upset, I want to apologize to you ahead of time, because again, that's not my intent. My intent is to show how, like from generation to generation, how these things are carried on, and how things prevent you from have you repeating the same things that you said you won't repeat, that your parents did for you, and how it brings up fears inside of us that keeps us from being our authentic self. All right, so I just want to give you that caveat. All right. When I went to Loyola University in Chicago for my second master's degree in administration and education. And from the day that I walked into the door and until the day I graduated, one of the things that they kept pounding in our heads were climate and culture. And they said that, and they believe that, and I believe as well, that as a building supervisor, that climate and culture is the most important thing as a building administrator when you walk into the building. And I thought about that, and I'm like, wow. And I said to myself, well, what was the climate and culture in my house? The climate and culture in my house was fear. That's it. Straight fear. So when my mom married my stepfather when I was 9, and we moved with him. And so we were latchkey kids. So meaning that we came home on our own. We opened up the door. We had to change our from school clothes to play clothes. We had to clean the house, and then we had to do our homework before we went outside. And so I remember being at school as a kid, and I was happy I was at school. And then when I would look up at the clock and it was getting close to being at home, I was scared. Straight scared, shaking inside. And I remember every day being so scared of my stepfather when he came home that I was shaking inside. Because my stepfather would beat the hell out of me and my brother. My young siblings, he didn't touch too much, but me and my brother, he beat the hell out of us. And what he would do, he would get an extension cord, and he would beat the hell out of us with that extension cord, where we have webs on our back, on our butt, and on our thighs. And if we put our arm back there, we would get webs on our arms. Sometimes he would beat us so bad that they would bleed. And then he would make us sit down so we could continue to feel the hurt and the pain because we couldn't sit down. He would make us sit down. And this reminds you of slavery. That's what the slave masters did to the slave. Fear. So when we would get home from school, we had to clean the whole house. We all had our different chores. So we had to clean the whole house. So when we would clean the house, then we had to do our homework. And then once we did our homework, then we can go outside and play or whatever was left to do. So my stepfather, I remember us being very scared when our stepfather would come home, because he would come home and he would expect a place. He would look under the radiator, under the table, he would look behind doors. And regardless of how clean the place was, he always found something that was wrong, that wasn't clean. And then he would get the extension cord out and beat the shit out of us for that one clean spot, for the thing that wasn't clean. I remember one day, me and my brother, he's 2 years under me, we had to take out the garbage. That was our choice. So we would go week on and week off taking out the garbage. And I remember one day he came home, went into the kitchen, saw the garbage can, came back out the kitchen, went to his bedroom, changed his clothes, came back out, and had an extension cord wrapped around his hand. And he called me. He never said my name right. He called me Cabinet. How you get that from Cabinet? I don't know. He called me Cabinet. So Cabinet, I'm flying. Yes. He said, bring your dumb ass here. Yeah. Didn't I tell your dumb ass to take out the garbage? Ain't that your job to take out the goddamn garbage? I was like, I said, I did take out the garbage. He said, no, you didn't, you dumbass. Taking out the garbage means cleaning up around the garbage can. Now clean up around that garbage can. So as I'm getting the dustpan and a broom and sweeping up, he's hitting me. Pow, pow. And I'm jumping, I'm moving, I'm putting my arm up, and he hitting me, striking me, and hitting me until I clean it up. And, and then after I clean it up, then I tell your dumb ass to clean it up, pow, hitting me. Then after I did it, now take your lazy dumb ass back in the room. Next time your dumb ass need to know what to do to take the garbage out and clean around the garbage can. At that time, I didn't know I was being traumatized. We were being traumatized as children. In that 5-minute span, he was verbally abusive, physically abusive. Then I had to do the task. And then he was verbally and physically abusive while I was doing the task. And then he was verbally abusive when I completed the task. That's the environment that we lived in. Fear works until you are no longer feared. So let's move ahead till I'm 14 years old. I'm like a freshman in college. And we weren't the only ones that was getting abused and physically abused. My mother was too. He used to beat the hell out of my mother all the time. So our bedroom was in the back, their bedroom was in the front. And I guess this one particular time was too much because he was beating the hell out of her. You heard the hits, bam, bam, bam. Why you hit me? What did I do? Bam, shut the hell up. Do what I tell you to do, just hitting her. So I guess this was too much for my brother. So he yells, right? And my brother was always, he wasn't fearful. He was always forward. He was always not scared, always had courage, always, step forward. And he yelled, and so we had a bed in there, and we had slacks in the bed. So he took one of the slacks out of the bed. And he yelled, "Stop hitting my mama." Or he yelled, I think it was, "I'm tired of you hitting my mama." Or "Don't hit my mama again." So my stepfather said, "What did you say?" So we heard him come out the bedroom. So it was at nighttime and we were changing into our pajamas. So my brother was in his underwear, so he takes off down the back door, down the stairs, and he come walking fast through the house into the to our bedroom, and he stands in the threshold of the door with his gun in his hand. What did you say? I dare you to say it again. My brother didn't say anything. So we all sitting on the beds and we scared. I mean, I am racked with fear. And so he turns and he looks at me and I drop my head. And he kept walking out the room like he was John Wayne. Then my mother came through the threshold, called my brother back in. And my brother came in the house and I couldn't look at him. I couldn't look at him. And this is kind of weird, but I felt more shame for my brother than I did for my mother, because I felt I was the oldest and that should have been me running down the stairs. That should have been me who said something. And I felt powerless because I couldn't protect my mother. I felt emasculated. I felt powerless. I felt dehumanized. I was seen. I didn't feel like I was human. I was broken. No self-esteem, no insecure, weak, like a slave. I was broken down like a slave. So that splinter was always in my head. So a couple of months passed by, boom, same thing. Beating the hell out of my mother, boom, boom. You hear the hits. And she's crying, please stop hitting me, please stop hitting me. And I said, fuck this shit. I took off running, pow. And I ran in the bedroom and I stood in their bedroom. And he had, my mother was half on the bed and he had her collared. And he was coming down like a jackhammer, boom, 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 boom. Right? He didn't even see me. He was so focused on hitting my mother. He didn't see me and she was trying to block it. You know, she's trying to block it. He didn't even feel me in the bedroom. And I yelled, I'm tired of you hitting my mama. And it startled him, right? Because he didn't know I was in the bedroom. So he startled him and he kind of fell back against the wall. And then you could see he was kind of shocked. But then he kind of gathered himself, right? He gathered himself and said, what the fuck did you say to me? Right? So I went back up. You heard what the fuck I said. Don't hit my mama again. So now, mind you, I'm scared. I am frightened to death. And also the other piece of that is this, is that I have always been a respectful child. I have never been disrespectful to an adult. I never mumble. I never talk back to an adult. I used to get hit. I used to get slapped. I used to get punched. I used to get all those things. And I never, ever talked back. I never, ever talked back. So I had those dual things going on in my head. Right? Also, the other thing was, the fear that I had was that the plan in my head was that he was going to bum rush me, because my stepfather was about 5'6", about 165, 170. My mom was about 5'4", maybe 5'5". She's like 120 pounds. I was 5'3", maybe getting up to 5'4", but I was like a $110, $115. So no weight. So in my mind, I'm thinking he's going to bum rush me. And so my only goal was to get one hit, and I wanted it to his face. That's it. That was my only goal. And I felt that once I get the hit to his face, he was going to take me down, and I was just going to take that. I was just going to take that ass whooping. I was just going to take it. But I wanted that one lick. And I wanted to hit his ass so bad. And that one lick was for all the slaps, all the kicks, all the punches, all the push down, all the whoopers on the webs, all the times he said, the more I tell you, the dumber I get. You got much brain as a gnat has ass. You dumb as a Bessie bug. You so stupid. You can't pour piss out of a boot if the sign says turn upside down. You ain't got a pot to piss in or a window to throw it out of. I just wanted that one punch was going to be for all those whoopings and beatings that I am for my mother and for my brother. That one punch, that was it. Right? So, he didn't charge me. So I was kind of shocked that he didn't charge me, because that's what I would have done, but he didn't charge me. So when he didn't charge me, I took, my brain said, take a step forward. So I took a step forward, and my mother jumps up and she puts her hand on my chest like, Kevin, get the hell out of here. Get the hell out of here. And I think she was trying to be authoritative. And I'm like, I'm not going anywhere. And so at that point, my mother was kind of like pleading with me, like my mother was like pleading with me, sort of like, Kevin, get out, please get out, please get out. I'm not going anywhere. I'm not doing anything. So then my stepfather was like, well, what the fuck you gonna do? So he reaches in his drawer and pulls out his .45 gun, a .45, his gun. So, when he pulls out his gun, put pivot there. I knew I was at the point of no return. I knew I could not leave that bedroom, because if I left that bedroom, I know he would have had to finish beating the hell out of my mother, either putting her in the hospital or coming close to putting her in the hospital. Then I knew he would have to come back to the bedroom and beat the shit out of me and beat the shit out of my brother, because he had to prevent another uprising. So I knew I was in it. I wasn't going anywhere. I was in it. I had crossed that line, but I was still scared. I was scared out of my mind. And so when he pulled out the .45, I said, you think I care about you getting your gun? Do you think I'm scared of you and your guns? And so he says, well, I hope you're not scared. But after I beat that ass, I bet you won't jump in another grown man's face. So as my mother trying to talk to me, he steps towards me. So my mother turns and steps towards him to stop him from coming towards me. So we still going at it or whatever. And like I said, he's in his early 50s. He's like 50, 51, 52. So he's still a young man. But he's a chain smoker and he drank beer every day. So he's not in the best of shape. And, he's not, slow. And plus our reaches are short. So he had the gun in his right hand. So he reached over my mother to hit me. And he swung. Of course, it was slow. So when he swung, I moved to my left and ducked. When I came back up, he was coming. It was too late. I saw his hand coming down. It was too late. And bam, he hit me in the back of the head with the gun, with the butt of the gun. That was it. All fear was gone. All fear was gone. I lost it. I mean, I'm telling you, I lost it. So I'm starting going at you, motherfucker, you ain't shit. And so we swinging, trying to hit, but we short, so our reaches ain't going nowhere. And he talking about, I hit your ass again with the butt of the gun. And my mother's like, Kevin, please leave, please leave. So she takes both of her hands and she's pushing me out the bedroom. And as she pushing me out the bedroom, I'm still talking noise to him because I want him to come closer, because guess what? I want my lick back. That's the only thing in my head. I want my lick back. So I'm talking noise. And so as my mother pushed me out the bedroom, she's pushing me through the living room. He's coming. I'm like, good. So I just kept talking. I'm, motherfucker, you ain't about shit. You ain't no man. You ain't about shit. I'm going to knock your ass out. I hit you with the gun again. I hit you with the gun once. I'm going to hit your ass with the gun again. I mean, we going at it. So I'm going at it. He going at it. My mother's yelling, Kevin, please, please, please. So she pushes me into the dining room, and we at the door. That's the entrance of our house. So my mother sees him getting close, so she turns and faces him. He has the gun in his left hand, and she has his wrist, right? And so Hey, I'm like, you ain't shit. He like, you ain't shit. My mother's like, if you shoot my son, I'm gonna kill you. Kevin, baby, please stop, baby. And she going back and forth with that. My siblings in the background, they back to me and they yelling, Kevin, please stop. Please come back in here with the room noodles. Kevin, please stop. But I wanted my lick back. My adrenaline was up here. I was gone. All I could think about, I want my lick back. There was no talking us down. The house was up for grabs. Nobody was in control. The house is gone. There's no control or anything. And there was going to be no talking me down off that ledge. So we talking stuff. So he's swinging with his right hand. I'm ducking to my right, come out, I'm swinging my right hand, and we doing this, and my mother holding the gun, and we swinging and hitting each other. My mother like, please stop, Kevin. Don't shoot my son. Fuck you, and everything going on. So he swings with his right hand. I duck, pow. The gun goes off. And the bullet races right past my head and lodges in a door. My ears immediately start ringing. The shell casing comes out of the gun and hits me in the head and falls on the floor. And all three of us froze. My mother, like this, was like, and because I don't think she knew if I got shot. She didn't know how to react. She just froze. My stepfather was scared out of his mind. And if he could have turned white, he was so scared. And he just sat there. He just stood there. I stood there. My ears are ringing. So I stood there. And my siblings, they lost it. It was like a screeching. It was a crescendo noise. Oh my God, he shot Kevin, because their back was to me. And all they saw was the shell casing hit my head and fall on the floor. So they lost. Oh my God, he shot Kevin. Oh my God, he shot Kevin. So it was loud. So my stepfather panics. Right? He gets scared. He panics. So he looks and sees the shell casing on the floor. So he picks the shell casing up. He says, shut y'all dumbasses up. It was a shell casing that hit him. He didn't get shot. He didn't get shot. Shut up. So by that time, my mind comes back to me. And before the thought could get through my mind, it came out of my mouth. I'm calling the police. Pow! I take off running to the kitchen. The kitchen here, you know, one of them ugly yellow wall phones. The push button, it was yellow and ugly. It was on the kitchen wall. Bam! I take off for the phone. He's on my heels. So I grab the receiver and he bumps me. When he bumps me, I stumble and he snatches the phone off the wall. He snatches the cord out of the phone and he snatches the receiver out of my hand. And when he snatched the receiver in my hand, he's standing there looking at me. And I'm looking back at him. And we breathe. My hands are balled up. I'm like, if he come to me, I'm going to knock his ass out. And I'm breathing. And the only thing in my mind, you better not look away. You stare his ass down. You better not look away. And I'm like, and he looking at me. And so after a couple of seconds, he begins to turn. And when he turned, I'm like, got your ass, got your ass. And to me, that was better than a punch. That was better than a hit. I'm like, I got your punk ass. And so as he turns and to walk out of the kitchen, the gun is in his left hand and it's down by his leg and his hand is shaking. And so when he was walking, I looked down, I saw his hand shaking. So I had to give him a pardon shot. That's the last time you're going to hit me, and I'm not getting any more whoopings from you. And so my brother was like, well, hell, if he ain't going to whoop you, I ain't getting no more whoopings. And then all my siblings chimed in, I ain't getting no more whoopings. Me either. So everybody chimed in. My stepfather never broke stride. He walked into the bedroom. My mother sat at the dining room table with her hands in her head. I walked into the bedroom with my siblings and they sat around me and it was quiet. It was a calm quiet. And from that moment on, I never got hit again. Because I'm telling you, I was not taking any more whoopings. And for my stepfather, he he lost he was emasculated. He was powerless because his manhood was in fear. And he felt that now he no longer had that fear. He was no longer the man of the house. He was no longer in charge. And I'm not saying he was scared that I was going to beat him up or fight him. I don't think it was that sort of fear. I think it was a fear of, I'm going to have to defend myself against this boy. And his brother might jump in, and I'm afraid of what I'm going to have to do to protect myself. I'm going to have to use a gun, I'm going to have to stab them, or something that's going to get hurt. So I think that was his fear. So his thing was like, I'm going to just leave them alone. So it went from telling us what to do, asking me what to do, because he was emasculated. And so for me, that time I realized that I was traumatized, that I was a broken child. I was traumatized. I had post-traumatic stress disorder, and I was a broken child. So by definition, I was a broken teenager, which means that I was a broken man. But I didn't know it. I really didn't know it. And what I realized as I became a man was the skills that I had that I used as a child, that I used as a teenager, that I used as a young man were no longer working for me as a man. I realized that trauma and the post-traumatic stress disorder that I had affected me in my relationships. It affected my relationship with men. It affected relationships, intimate relationships that I had with girls. I didn't even know how to be a boyfriend in a relationship. I didn't know how to be a husband. All I knew was I didn't want to be like him. But I had no skills. I had no other way of knowing or doing it. So I didn't know how to be it. And from that, I realized that having post-traumatic stress disorder, I was afraid of everything. Even into adulthood, I was hyper vigilant, meaning that I was walking on eggshells my whole life. If something good happened to me, I was waiting for the other shoe to fall because I knew that something bad was going to happen. I called myself Charlie Brown. Oh, something bad's going to happen. I know that's me. I was scared. I was so scared that I was scared to shop for clothes, because I didn't have any confidence or any self-esteem, and I was insecure that I didn't know how to pick out a shirt and pants. I didn't know how to pick out a suit or socks or even shoes. That's how broken I was. That's how much fear that I had in myself, and I was insecure. I was ugly. I was dumb. I was stupid. I was beaten. I was broken, and I carried that. So I always had that fear. That fear was always in me, and it never went away, even adulthood, because I didn't have the skills to deal with it. And I was traumatized, and I didn't know it. And what I want to talk to you, and this is a perfect example of fear. I was reading this article, and this article is about a good friend of mine. She has a blog, Dr. Michelle Martin. And she has a blog, and the blog is coming up on your screen, and also what she wrote on your screen. So I want to tell you that I have to give credit to this because I like this piece, and I took it from her and I put it in the video. But it's Dr. Michelle Martin, and she has a blog called Aging Naked, and it's a blog. And this article is learning. Leaning into Anxiety. This is the article I read called Leaning into Anxiety. And again, if you want it, it's coming up on your screen. But the link to this article is www.aging, naked, NAKED, one word, .com/AGING dash NAKED dash blog BLOG / leaning LEANING dash into INTO dash anxiety ANXIETY. And what she said about fear. And I'm just going to read it because I loved it. This is beautiful. She said, fear and anxiety are adaptive because they warn us of danger. But childhood trauma messes up this protective alarm system by either shutting it off altogether or by establishing a threshold that's far too sensitive. In other words, if anxiety was a smoke alarm, trauma in childhood teaches our brains to respond to shower steam. Logical responses to illogical fears, which actually are not all that illogical if rooted in actual trauma, will rarely work because if there's even 1% chance that our worst fears will come true, then that is what our brain will focus on. And she is 100% right. And so I had those fears. And so what I learned and what I didn't want to do is that when I separated from the mother of my children, when they was right around a year and a half, I said to myself, I need my own place. I don't care if it was a studio apartment. I don't care if it was a box on the Wacker Drive. I need my own place. I'm not going to live with no woman. The woman's not going to live with me. It's going to be my own place because I need to establish the culture and climate in my own home. And my culture and climate is going to be a culture and climate of love, of positive, of support, no verbal abuse, no physical abuse, no emotional abuse. That is not going to happen in the climate and culture within my home. Plus, we were separated now, so I had to establish the culture and climate in my home because I wanted the twins and I, to build a chemistry and rapport with each other. We had to get used to each other, me just being there by myself, parenting them, and them only and me doing it by myself. I had to develop that chemistry and climate. And plus, I wanted the twins to know what my expectations are for them as my children. But I had to learn their expectations for me as their father. Because children have expectations about their father too. And I wanted to create that climate and culture for my children because I felt that was important. And then also, and the reason I'm talking about this is it's not about the place blame. Honest to God, I'm not trying to place blame. I don't blame my mother and I don't even blame my stepfather. Because my stepfather revered his father. And he used to brag how his father will hit you with whatever was in his hand. If it was a hammer, if it was a stick, if it was a brick, if it was a pole, whatever was in his hand, he hit you. And he bragged about how he used to beat up his mother. And he talked about how his grandfather used to do the same thing to his father. So this is generational. It's passed down from one generation to the next generation to the next generation. And that was something I was not going to have passed down to my children. So it's something that I had to learn. I had to acknowledge it, right? And I want to just saying, and it's coming up on your screen, that I saw on Facebook is by my boy Lee, who's a great friend of mine. And this quote says, and it's very true, it's coming up on your screen. It says, your trauma was never your fault, but healing will always be your responsibility. And I tell people all the time, in order to heal, you have to hurt. And the truth hurts. But the truth also lays the foundation for you to build on. And for me to get to my self-actualization and to me to get on my journey and for me to fix my brokenness, the first thing I had to do was I had to acknowledge. I had to acknowledge that I had a traumatizing childhood. I had to acknowledge that I had post-traumatic stress disorder. Then I had to identify that in my life. Then I had to label it. I was verbally abused, emotionally abused, physically abused. I was abused with poverty. I was abused with not having heat in the wintertime. I was abused with not having food to go to school in, not having coat, not having boots, not having support, not having loved. I was abused and I had to label it. Not label it to blame or to point fingers. Because it's not about blame. It's not about right or wrong. Because believe it or not, I believe that my mother and my stepfather gave me 100% of what they had. It wasn't enough because their capacity was low to parent. But that low capacity, they gave me 100% of it. I do believe that. Although it wasn't enough, and I appreciate that. So it's not about blame. So I can't take what I know now or the information that's available now, the information that's accessible, and turn back and judge how I was raised in the 70s and 80s, because that's not fair and that's not right. And they did what they thought was right because that's what they were taught. So it's not about blame. It's about me identifying the elephant and begin the process of taking responsibility of healing myself. And that's what I've done. I'm no longer a broken man. And I am happy in my life. I'm truly blessed because I have so many different things and different people in my life who love me and support me and want me to move along on this journey. And so that's why I want you to have this information. Because I do believe that this information can help you along on your journey to self-actualization, the journey of self-love and self-care, and to stop blaming. Because it's kind of hard. Think about it. You've been told you've been dumb and stupid every day for your whole life. Of course you're going to believe it. Especially when you make a decision that don't work out the way you planned it to work out. It makes you gun shy. It makes you not want to try. It makes you not want to give up. It makes you not want to have hope. It makes you think maybe this is my destiny. Maybe this is what is meant for me. Maybe I'm cursed. It makes you believe that, but you're not. It's the climate and culture in which you were in. And even if you don't have children, even if I don't have children, I built my place to have a climate and culture where it's positive, it's loving, it's comfortable. Even when my friends come over, they let hey man, this my casa, su casa. Be comfortable, relax. What do you want? What do you need? Go get it. Do it all. Because that's the type of climate and culture I want in my house. I want it to be positive. I want to be confident. I want to be loving. I want my children to know, hey, you can make a mistake. It's okay. You made a mistake. All right, you knocked the glass down. Okay, clean it up. Put the glass in the sink. Next time you're going to put the glass on the table. That's it. Move on. Because we learn from our mistakes. Again, thank you so much for listening. I am so sorry I did not intend for this to be long. I knew it was going to kind of be long because it's one of those long stories that I was telling. Again, if I offend anybody, if I re-traumatize anybody, I promise you I am so sorry. That was not my intent. And I'm going to put up the domestic violence hotline on there. I'm going to put up help if you need counseling. And I'm also put up the DCFS number if there are children who've been abused that you need to report that abuse. And so I hope that this information helps you on your journey. Again, what comes from the heart reaches the heart. And I do love you all. And I wish you nothing but love. And I pray that God bless you with strength, bless you with courage, bless you with motivation, bless you with guidance, bless you with resources, and bless you with the support that you need for self-love, self-care, and self-actualization, that you actually become the person that you were meant to be, and that you're using your talents, and that you're happy, because happiness is internal, and I definitely want that for you. So again, thank you so much for watching. Again, I apologize for the show being so long, but I do hope that you're getting something out of it, and I do hope it's inspired and gives you hope and motivation along on your journey. Thank you so much. Again, all my information will be at the end of this, so if you want to email me or Facebook me and Instagram with me, it will definitely be up at the end of this at the end of this show. Again, thank you so much, and I pray that you have a great weekend. Bye.